How's it going? So we can use reference to re-render the page as long as you're doing it in the inner HTML. So look, I know it's confusing, but look, let's say we have count. Well, I'll show you that it works and then I'll build it step by step. So look, this one is just count. Well, let me just show you the code first. So we have count, which is simple useRef. Actually, I'll just step by step. I'll do it for you step by step. Ta -ta 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 -ta. Okay, I'm gonna remove all of this. And I'm going to remove all of this. There you go. Okay. So we have a simple count, and this count is being referenced in here. You see? So what is happening in here? We click the button, but nothing happens. This is still 0. Even though component re-renders. My apologies, I'm trolling. So look, we're gonna console log. Count is count.current, which is the value that is in here. You have to remember that useRef is going to retain the value between re-renders. So now we're gonna see console log. You see count is increasing, but the view we're talking about, remember, like React has the two sides to it. It has the function side and then it has the view, which is the HTML side. So although the function side of it, the values do change, there is nothing to re-render the HTML side of it. You see? So what we can do is we can introduce a dummy re-render, just like a re-renderer. With a use state. So this is just a dummy re-renderer. So we start with 0 and then set as soon as we click it, this thing changes +1. And because we're using use state, it's going to re-render the HTML side of it. Whoops. So now we're going to see. Look, so we do 5. We re-render and it's going to be, well, we did 6. We re-render is going to be 6. So because use state re-renders the HTML side of it, we can see that it's updating, right? So we do 10, we re-render, it's 10. Now, so how, let's say you don't want to use state, how can you achieve the same result? And the only way to do that is you can use innerHTML and then it's going to work. So we create a another reference. I'm just thinking it's kind of, I'm just demoing the fact that inner HTML, it's kind of, I think it's kind of like useless code, but I mean, I'm just giving you a demo that the inner HTML can re-render. So you see we create a new HTML reference, we put it into here, which is gonna be our div. We create a span that starts with 0 and then we reference it in here. And then every time you update, we are also going to update the inner HTML to the value of what's inside the count. And then you will see that we don't need to re-render it manually. It's just going to re-render by itself. You see? So you see? Now, why is this one re-rendering and this one is not? That's because this one is referencing inner HTML. So when the value of inner HTML changes, it just re-renders the HTML component. You see? So in here we have this thing which is referencing this span div in here. Okay? Through this. And then we're changing the value HTML of this thing. Inner HTML is equal to the value of count in here. And then this because the inner HTML changes, it simply updates the component HTML. Oh my god! So do you see the difference? The first one is just referencing count by itself, whereas the second one is referencing a tag, which is span. We create a new reference, and then we are just changing the inner HTML to whatever the count is. I don't know why this is not changing, but this is like literally changing. So this part here gets re-rendered because this part here updates it. So it's very exclusive to this part, so the whole component is not re-rendering, only this part. And you can see that, like, if we just console log something, did component re-render, you will see that the component is not re-rendering, only this part is changing. Literally just this part here is changing. So we can see it in here, you see? So component re-rendered, we up. You see count is increasing, component is not re-rendering, only this part is re-rendering. Which is kind of magical to some extent. Because that means that it's smart enough to understand that only one portion of it. It's a lot quicker than using useState, because useState re-renders the whole component, whereas this thing can just re-render a portion of it. And then it's like super fast. You know what I mean? Okay, take care, bye bye.